Welcome back to another episode of Ball Don't Lie. I'm Jacob Fraser with my co-host Cam Connolly, and today we're going to be getting into another weekly recap here, some awards predictions, our weekly MVP and LVPs, and we'll be finishing off today's episode with, of course, our Canadian Hooper highlight. But before we get into everything, how's it going, Cam?
Good, man. A little disappointed after this weekend's happening or last weekend's happenings with the Blue Jays, but still emotionally recovering, I guess. So I can't say I'm good, actually. I lied.
That's fair. That was a heartbreaking loss. Yeah, we talked about it last episode. We were pumped to watch those games, and well, we were hoping it would only be one more game, but a heartbreaking loss in Game 6, and then another even more heartbreaking loss in Game 7. But let's get into some NBA talk here. The NBA Cup has started off again this season. Just I don't think I'm a big fan of the NBA Cup, this mid-season tournament. I know it's been around for a little bit now, but what are your thoughts on the NBA Cup as a whole?
I mean, it kind of shows the state of the league, I think, that the commissioner has to make stuff up to make the players try in November. I mean, like you think that early games that kind of matter where you are trying to establish yourself as like a team, as a front running team, and the commissioner's just got to make up something to make the players try. There's something wrong there, and I personally don't know if it's the right way to address it. It doesn't really make me tune in, like want to tune in more, I should say. Maybe I'll tune in for the finals, but I if I'm not going to go out of my way to tune in. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the Raptors Hawks game on right now in the background as we record here, and um, I I just like watching basketball, so I'm just going to throw a basketball game on. I don't care if it's an NBA Cup game. Yeah, the NBA Cup final, maybe, like you said, I'll go out of my way to watch that one. But yeah, it's just another game to me, and this tournament doesn't really do anything for me, I guess. Although I will say I am a big fan of some of the courts, like this Atlanta Hawks court that I'm looking at right now is pretty nice.
Yeah, that is true. I actually really some of the courts do get a little funky, like I have to say. Like I can't remember. I think it was maybe it was Indiana's court last year was like all yellow, or there was a quite
Yeah,
an ugly one last year. But I mean, it is also is like it is a little nice of a way to spice up the game, I guess. But I mean, if you have to go to courts to draw viewership, it's like I was saying, it's a whole nother issue, I think. But
yeah.
it's I mean, it's good bragging rights, but everyone knows it doesn't matter.
Well, it's a nice paycheck for the two-way guys that are on rosters. Guys like
That's
Bronny James if the Lakers win.
I don't think the Lakers are winning.
Let's shift over to some regular season activity here. The Oklahoma City Thunder lost their first game of the season to the Portland Trailblazers. I don't know if you were able to catch that game, but no undefeated teams in the NBA standings anymore up to this point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really surprised by the fact you could say that there's no more undefeated teams,
Yeah, for sure.
but I am surprised that the Trailblazers are looking as good as they are. I mean, they're 5-3, they're sixth in the West right now. I would have never ever guessed that. Uh, they going into the year, they were a team that was definitely on the decline. And if you're an OKC fan, looking at your schedule when it opens up, it's okay. Win this one, maybe lose this one. Oh, Portland, that's an easy win. I'll bet all my whole house on that. Well, all of a sudden, Portland's 5-3, and they just beat OKC. So I guess what do I know? But
Yeah, I mean, we're going to get into a little bit of Trailblazer talk in a bit here, just with Denny Avdia, how good of a year he's had to start. But yeah, I'm surprised too by the Trailblazers. When we were doing our standing predictions last week, I actually had penciled in the Trailblazers as a play-in team, and then realized right after I did it and was reviewing my notes that I forgot a team that should very easily be in my top six, and so I quickly changed that out. But now I'm wondering maybe I should have just left it, and Trailblazers should have stayed in my play-in teams.
yeah, I mean, they're kind of a team of misfits too. Like a guy like Drew Holiday is having a career resurgence, which is,
Hmm.
I wouldn't say I'm super surprised, but I'm definitely not like wasn't expected. I kind of thought he was just going to go there and just not die, but he thought his career was just going there to die.
Yeah,
And it's just it's pretty amazing, honestly, that that group has kind of done what they're doing.
yeah, definitely. Let's shift over to some trade rumors here. So there's been a lot of speculation the last couple days here with Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies. I've got a tweet here that I'll pull up. It's the odds for top five teams to land Ja Morant. Miami Heat are number one, Houston Rockets number two, Brooklyn Nets number three, Sacramento Kings number four, and the Toronto Raptors are number five. I don't understand the Brooklyn Nets going in for Ja Morant. They're what? They're 1-7 on the season right now, I believe. Yeah, 1-7. It doesn't make sense to me for them to pick up Ja Morant. I guess um, they
I
want
mean,
to do what they did with Kyrie and KD.
yeah, but I mean, you think they learn their lesson. Like when there's a draft class coming up that's as elite as it is, why would you even do anything to risk your chance? Even if it's a guy
Yeah.
that is kind of proven, like, but I mean, he's not really he's proven, but he's not a proven winner. I mean, maybe
Hmm.
that fits the Brooklyn recipe, but he he I don't know, it doesn't make sense when you can almost guarantee yourself a top four pick, and if you keep losing.
Yeah, you mentioned not a proven winner, all of that, and I really wanted to get into this with you, particularly about the Toronto Raptors. We're both Canadian. We do our Canadian Hooper highlight, things like that. So we like to have a little bit of focus on Canada and Canadian teams every now and then. But my question to you is, does Ja Morant make the Raptors that much better? Like, realistically, I don't know if I see him gelling well with Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes. And what do you have to give up to get Ja Morant? Like, I just don't see him turning them into this insane contender.
Yeah, and hindsight's kind of 2020, and it almost reminds me of the Kawhi trade in a little bit of a different sense, though. It just in the way that like you didn't really know what you were getting with Kawhi. You didn't know how much he was going to play. And in a similar kind of way, if you get Ja Morant, you don't really know like how he'll fit in. You don't know if he'll mesh. You don't know if he'll commit. He's got a lot of question marks. With Kawhi, it was health. With Ja, it's a little bit health, but it's mostly just character. He's a character concern. I think that if he comes in with like, if the Raptors were to acquire him and he came in with a mindset of I'm here to win, I think he could actually fit in pretty well playing off Scotty, playing off BI. I mean, I'm pretty sure that if they were to make a move with Ja, BI would probably be going the other way. But I mean, I think he could be a primary slash secondary star alongside Scotty, and they could see a lot of success. But I wouldn't guarantee it based upon the character concerns that we see with Ja, because he just is a guy that doesn't seem to learn his lesson.
So you mentioned BI would be the guy going back. I saw a tweet today. I think it was on NBA Central. I did not get Centelled. I made sure. Um, but it was saying that a some NBA scout or executive said that Ja Morant's trade value right now is similar to what Kyrie's was when he got dealt to the Brooklyn Nets. And I think the return there was like Spencer Dinwiddie, someone else, 2 second-round picks and a first-round pick. So if the Raptors were to go in for Ja Morant, if that's what he's valued at, like I could see them giving up maybe IQ and a couple first-round picks, and that can get you Ja Morant if that's truly what Ja Morant's value is.
Yeah, and I mean, it kind of does seem like a trade that the Raptors like historically would do. I mean, kind of a misfit. You take a flyer on a guy. Can he cross the border? I don't know. But you take a flyer, you take a flyer on a guy that is just doesn't really fit in because it's hard to get guys over the border. And for some reason, they think we're in like Europe or something. It's not really any different up here. It's America light, I guess you could say. But I don't know what's wrong. Why Americans don't want to come up here? I mean, you come up here and you do anything good, you're a freaking icon everywhere. You don't have to pay for anything. I mean, you remember the Kawhi and Dine stuff, just trying to get Kawhi to resign. Man, if he resigned, he would have never had to pay for groceries ever again. Like,
Yeah, but
and he would have
Steve
been
Ballmer
making,
gave him an extra 20 mil.
yeah, I mean, it's but like again, like a guy like John Morant, it's historically a trade that I think the Raptors would make, and I think that if the deal's there, I mean, why don't you take it? Like the Raptors are kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place in a way that you have Scotty Barnes, you aren't really sure what he's going to be. You know he can be a guy, but you don't know if he can be the guy. And if you have a chance to add in another one of a similar kind of style of Scotty, in the sense that he's a guy, you don't know if he can be the guy. You have two of them. I could see a lot of success, especially in a time where the East is so weak right now.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. I like that take. I would agree with that. Yeah, I mean, obviously the Raptors are fifth favorites to land job, but yeah, I think at the end of the day, it would be a good addition to the team, a good flyer to take. But let's shift over to the Dallas Mavericks. So they're at the bottom of the standings in the Western Conference. Obviously, drafted Cooper Flag this past offseason, number one overall, and I've seen people online talking about how like the NBA should maybe change some of the rules with getting the first overall pick. And you and I are both hockey fans. So here's what I want to propose. The NHL recently changed their rules for the number one pick. You can only move up in the draft for the number one pick, like based on the lottery. You can only move up in the lottery twice in 3 years. So if you get it, say the Dallas Mavericks where they get Cooper Flag, then they get the number one pick this year. Next year, they wouldn't be able to move up for that number one pick through the lottery. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that. That's my proposed rule for the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it would solve a lot of problems that the NBA has because you see teams just absolutely just give up at the end. But also, it's kind of a fear of mine that maybe it wouldn't solve the problem because let's say you're a team that has moved up twice in the last 2 years, it's the third year. Now I'm gonna lose as many games as I can to ensure myself that I'm gonna have the best pick possible. Because if all I can do is move down, why would I even try to win games? I mean, obviously there's a pride sense, but I think in hockey there's a little bit more pride than there is in basketball.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there
I don't think
because,
it's a bad idea though, but that's just my worry.
right. I think the other thing though, like I agree with you because it's you can't move up in the lottery. And so if you come dead last, you can stick and pick at one if you
Hmm.
won that lottery. So yeah, that could be an issue. Like say the Mavericks again, for example, get it back to back years, this rule's implemented and not grandfathered in or whatever, and then next year they're terrible to start the year again. I could see them maybe moving on from Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving just to ensure that they come dead last. But
Exactly. But what do you think about, now I'll propose you one. What do you think about the PWHL style where the second you're eliminated from playoffs, every point you garner is a point towards the first overall pick? And I know you're thinking, well, the teams that suck won't win games, and the teams that get eliminated. Well, the teams that get eliminated with one game left, they're only going to have a chance to win, like get like 2 points, whereas the team that gets eliminated a month left in the season, they're going to have 12 or 13 games to kind of gain points in that draft.
yeah, I don't know because I don't think it's a bad rule, and it definitely is like a big time anti tank rule. Like that would
Hmm.
solve a lot of tanking issues, but I don't think the PWHL. I could be wrong, but I well no, they wouldn't do a lottery if that's the case, right?
No, it's just however many points you have at the end, that's the
Yeah,
draft order.
yeah. I don't know. I kind of like the lottery. Like it's just a big event, and it's a
Yeah.
fun thing to watch every year. So I think the lottery does a decent job of anti-tank, especially in the NBA, because the odds to get the number one pick if you're dead last still aren't great, right?
Yeah.
Like I think
I
it's
think that
14% or something.
yeah, I think it's 12.5. I might be wrong though. I think his top four teams have 12.5. But I also think
Yeah,
that there
something
should be
like
a
that.
limit. I think the NHL has a limit of how many spots you can move up. I don't think a team like Dallas,
Yeah,
who was in the play-in, should be eligible to win the first overall pick. I think in the NHL it's 10 spots you can move up, and I
yeah,
think
10 spots.
that's a bit of an issue I see with the NBA draft lottery. It's too wide. Like it's too wide
Right.
open. And so you have teams that just never win the lottery and never get better.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Let's shift over to our awards predictions. We'll start off with the most improved player, and I can kick it off here. I mentioned we were going to talk about Denny Avdia. Here he is. He's up from 16.9 points per game to 24.4 points per game through the first 7 or 8 games this season. He's my pick for most improved player. Just like he's a guy in Washington, it was looking like he's not really panning out as a legit NBA player. Like I honestly thought there was a world where he could be out of the league in a couple of years when he was over in Washington, and then now he's seemed to really find a home in Portland, and he has become the guy there. And so it's just a really big step for him to go from almost 17 points per game to now almost 25. Like that's a massive jump. Um, it's hard to score 25 points per game in the NBA. So it's a little bit easier to get 17. But yeah, he would be my pick for most improved. Who's yours?
Yeah, I went in a bit, well, not really a different direction, to be honest. I almost went in the exact same direction as you. I just went with a different white guy. I went with Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey, I mean, he's leading this Bulls team to a great start. Can he keep it up is the question. I'm not sure if he can keep it up, but he's looking like what he was supposed to be when he came into the league. Just took him a while to find his footing, and obviously he had his controversy. Danny Avdia has his own controversy going on right now that we won't touch. But I mean, when you go from 14.6 to 23 per game, like that's almost 10 point per game improvement. The change of
Mm-hmm.
scenery, he had a change of scenery last year, but now he has a year under his belt and he's more comfortable in the system. He kind of knows what he's doing now and he looks way more confident. I mean, his controversy is way behind him now. I think it'll always kind of follow him around, but it's, it's just, I wouldn't say it came out of nowhere, but I'm a little bit surprised at how much he improved.
Yeah. Yeah, I am too. I mean, I don't know if you mentioned he's almost averaging a triple double this year.
Yeah.
Like that's that's pretty crazy. We knew when he got drafted by OKC that he was going to be a triple double threat,
Hmm.
but I don't think we imagined that he'd be able to score the amount that he has been this season. Like I think that 14.6 points per game last year was kind of like okay, yeah, that's around what Josh Giddey's scoring ceiling is, but then he should be able to provide so much more playmaking, rebounding, defensively. Like he should be able to provide all of that. But just the fact that he's able to score that much right now is beyond expectations that I had for him.
And I think it's probably why the Bulls are off to such a hot start.
Oh, for sure. For sure. All right, let's shift over to Rookie of the Year. We've talked about him a lot because he's been unbelievable to start the season. I've got VJ Edgecombe, 17.6 points per game, 5.6 rebounds per game, 4.8 assists, leads all rookies in points per game and assists per game to start the season. And yeah, he's really like I've talked about how Ace Bailey didn't want to go there, and he's really proving that Ace Bailey should have been begging on his knees to be a Philadelphia 76er.
Yeah, I mean, really good start from him. And now that McCain is officially back in the mix, I'm curious how his numbers look. I mean, McCain didn't have very good first game, so I don't think it impacted his numbers. I honestly haven't looked at that game, but I know that McCain's back in the lineup again today, so it'll be interesting to see how his numbers kind of fluctuate, especially when Paul George comes back. I know I've said this before on this pod, but it's it's just a curious case because he's so good so quick. Maybe the expectations get too high, and you see kind of a sophomore slump in year one, just because everyone's like, "Oh my God, you have to take VJ Edgecombe seriously. He's not going to be this rookie. How can we play him differently than we play other rookies typically?"
Right.
But yeah, but yeah, we can
Who's
move into
yours?
mine. I mean, I think that we shouldn't hit the panic button yet. I think there's an obvious choice based on the preseason, and that's Cooper Flag. I mean, he's averaging 14 points per game, and no one's really talking about him. And that's because he's shooting 39% from the field.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that is a precursor sometimes for a little bit of bust talk when you're shooting that low of a percentage from the field. But he's also adding on like 6.6 rebounds and 2.2 assists. So I mean, if the efficiency kind of like evens out, the law of averages tend to, and he gets to around 50%, I mean, he's going to add about 3 or 4 points per game onto that total. If he finishes averaging around 8 points per game, especially with the preseason talk about him, as I was saying, it'll be hard to not give him the rookie of the year nod unless VJ Edgecombe continues to play how he plays. But I think that people are panicking a little bit too much and just starting to forget about Cooper Flag, which is crazy to say.
Well, and the other thing though is like if the Mavericks continue to struggle and the 76ers continue to excel and their numbers are similar, I feel like you have to give the edge to Edgecombe. No
Yeah,
pun
no
intended.
pun intended. No, yeah, I mean, I don't disagree at all, but I think that when Anthony Davis comes back, the Mavs will go on a bit of a win streak. Cooper Flag is, fortunately for him, surrounded by a little bit more talent on paper, I would say, than VJ Edgecombe is. And
Mhm.
I think that the system is a little bit better for him to succeed, especially when the full teams are healthy, because, like we've been saying, there's a bit of a logjam with the Sixers at the guard position.
Yeah.
So I don't want to keep saying the same things over and over again, but I just think that in 20 games, I think we should revisit this and see. But I think Cooper Flag is still the guy at Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, that's fair. Let's move over to defensive player of the year. We both have the same guy, I assume. Victor Wembanyama, 12.9 rebounds per game, 4.1 blocks, and then 1.3 steals a game right now. Like just outrageous numbers from an outrageous player.
He's an alien. Like,
Yeah.
he's in what? This is year, starting to mix up years now. This is year
Year
three.
three. Yeah,
Yeah,
year three.
he's in year three and he's already doing this. That would put him at 21 years of age. Oh, man. Enjoy this now because soon enough people are going to start hating because people hate on successful players. And so I want to kind of enjoy it while he's the baby face before people tell me that I need to hate him.
Kind of like your LeBron take last year or last week.
Well, I hate LeBron because he's soft and he doesn't want to win and he needs carries, but that's a different story.
Well, that leads me into my MVP. My MVP is also Victor Wembanyama. I've been saying this since we started recording this season. I have Wemby as my MVP. He's also we gave his defensive numbers, but he's putting up 25.6 points per game, 3.1 assists per game at 51% from the field shooting. So I mean, yeah, we've talked about it like a ton. Victor Wembanyama, he's such a alien, like you said, just a different player that we've never seen. And he's going to dominate the league for years to come. And I think this year is going to be the first time we see him win an MVP.
Yeah, and I can't remember who they were playing, but I saw this clip where he had two blocks and he came down, he hit a transition and one three-pointer or something, something along those lines. I might be mixing up two clips, but there's a comment underneath it and it said, every time I watch a Wemby clip, I think it's over, and then he does something even crazier. And it's true. Like every time you watch a Wemby clip, you're like, oh, it's the block, that's the highlight. And then he comes down, and he hits a pull-up three from the logo, and you're like, what? He's 7'5". How do you do that? It's yeah, I don't know. He's definitely the front runner. Actually, that kind of segues me into mine. He's actually not the front runner on a lot of books, and he's behind the reigning MVP in Shea Gilgeous. Shea Gilgeous is averaging 33 points per game, and I think that people are starting to just expect that from him, and we're not really appreciating how crazy that is. And obviously, there will always be the free throw merchant kind of narrative surrounding him, but he's also averaging 5.4 rebounds per game and 6.3 assists per game, and just like Wemby, shooting 51%. So he is taking more shots, but he's hitting at the same clip, which I think is arguably a little bit more impressive. But it's yeah, it's definitely going to be a tighter race than last year where Shea kind of ran away with it. And I think that we're both overlooking Jokic. I mean, maybe the voter fatigue has left the voters and gone to the main society. I think he's worth a mention as well. Like he's putting up crazy numbers, and if he can continue to do it, then I think he'll definitely work his way into our conversations like easier.
Yeah, that Jokic, actually, that segues into MVP and LVP. Jokic isn't my MVP for this past week, but I had a really hard time debating between Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic. I chose Luka Doncic just because the Lakers are 3-0 this week, and Luka put up 36 points per game, 9.7 assists, 10.7 rebounds on 42% from the field. So, I mean, you gave it to Austin Reeves last week with the Lakers, playing unbelievably without LeBron. I'm giving it to Luka this week. Just
Now,
close to a
is
triple double with 36 points. It's crazy.
is it time to ask the question out loud? The quiet part. Quiet part no one wants to say. Is LeBron the problem on the Lakers? I think he is. They're flourishing without him. I'm just saying, they're flourishing without him. When they come back, they're going to start losing games and they're going to start pointing fingers, and no one's going to point the finger at LeBron. Well, they're having a pretty successful start without him. Luka was injured, and they were still winning games on Austin Reeves' shoulders. LeBron's going to come in. He's going to take his stupid logo threes. He's going to take his inefficient shots because he wants to get his 10 points per game. He wants to keep the streak up. They're going to start to lose games. I'm telling you. You call me the all-seeing being right now. When LeBron comes back, they're going to lose games, and people are going to point their finger everywhere else but LeBron. A guy like Luka is putting up 36 points per game when LeBron is not in the lineup. Let's see what his numbers look like when LeBron is back.
Well, I'll let you. We'll wait till LeBron comes back in the lineup, and we'll see how the Lakers do, and then I'll let you claim victory if that ends up happening.
I'm the all-seeing being. I'm going to be claiming victory. Okay. But, I mean, yeah, I guess that kind of brings me into my MVP, another hater of this fraudulent guy, according to NBA Central, not Centel, by the way. Yeah, I was thinking about going Jokic, but I'm sure we'll be able to highlight Jokic in a different week. Guy I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to highlight because it's probably the last time I'll ever be able to highlight him is Russell Westbrook. I mean, 3 games, that terrible Kings team won 2 out of the 3, and Westbrook had 20 points, 11 boards, and almost 9 assists. So he almost had a triple-double average this week. Like a flip switch in his head, and all of a sudden he was good again. Is he going to maintain it? Probably not. Are the Kings going to keep winning games? Probably not. But I think we should appreciate like how good he's been doing. And it's not like they were beating like schmuck teams. They beat the Bucks and they beat the Warriors. Those are 2 pretty good teams, I would say, in my own opinion. And they lost a close game to the Nuggets. So if Westbrook is good, are the Kings good? Maybe, but I don't think so. But I don't know. I just thought that was cool to see him kind of go vintage.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm a big Russ fan, so love to see him doing well. But yeah, I mean the Kings, like, they're not terrible. You got DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Domantas Sabonis. Like, they're not a bad team. But yeah, I mean 3-5 start to the record to start the year isn't great. But yeah, good to see Russ doing well. Let's get into your LVP.
Yeah, and this is just a 1 game sample size, but it was just so poor. Jalen Suggs, you win my LVP of the week, buddy. All right. I don't know if you've seen the clips. All right. Shout out Germ Hoops, Hate Hoops on TikTok. He has the clips up there. You just have to find the Hate Hoops video for the week, and you'll have Jalen Suggs on there. First shot of the game, off the side of the backboard from the corner. Second shot of the game, shoots it, turns around to his bench, gives his bench a high five, ball rims out. Dude, you had 6 points. What are you doing that for? You shot 30% from the field. I think you shot 0 for 6 from 3. Like, what? Well, you are not in any world should Jalen Suggs be shooting turnaround 3-pointers. I don't care if he is 45. You are not that guy, buddy.
Hey, I'm here for all the Jalen Suggs hate because I had some big money on UCLA to beat Gonzaga when he hit the buzzer beater half court shot, and ever since then, I will always hate Jalen Suggs for stealing my money.
I redact my statement. There's one time where Jalen Suggs could have turned around, and it's on that half court shot against UCLA.
Yeah. I'll get into mine here. I've got Bub Carrington, sophomore player in the NBA, but 3 games this past week, playing 26 minutes a night, averaged 3.3 points per game and 3.7 turnovers per game on 31% shooting. More turnovers than points. When you're playing 26 minutes per game is just awful. And
Yeah.
I like Bub Carrington. Like, I think he's a good player. I liked him at Pitt in college, and I thought he was really good last season. But yeah, this week just was not his.
Yeah, I saw someone say, I can't remember who, but we're not calling him that anymore. We're calling him Carlton Carrington because he doesn't deserve his nickname anymore after this last week. It was just an abysmal week from a guy. I mean, you got to feel a little bad because averaging more turnovers than points per game, you got to start to be wondering if you're still going to be in the rotation at the end of the week. But that was just a rough one. I'm hoping he can turn it around. I'm also a fan of Carlton, but he, yeah, he got to earn his nickname back after that.
Let's get into our last segment here, our Canadian Hooper highlight. This week, it's a Canadian player on a Canadian team. We're highlighting RJ Barrett. Raptors went 3-0 this past week. RJ averaged 23 points per game, 5.7 rebounds, 4 assists on 52% from the field and 43% from three. RJ's really like he's really figured it out in Toronto. Eh? Like I think he was good in New York, but he's taken his game to another level in Toronto.
Yeah, and I mean, he's actually a Canadian, so maybe he likes being home. Maybe it's the reverse of the I don't want to come play in Canada effect. But it's really nice to see him turn into what people thought he could be because I know there was a lot of doubt, especially when he was in New York, about is he gonna even be anything. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget before the draft when everyone kind of knew he was going to New York. Actually, it might have been just after the draft. I don't know, but he was sitting on the First Take studio with Stephen A. And Stephen A. asked him, he's like, "Are you gonna be what you're supposed to be?" And I remember I was like, "Oh, you shouldn't have said this." He's like, "I absolutely will," or he says something along those lines, like, or I'll be more. And I remember thinking, "Ooh, you should not have done that, buddy." And I was kind of right for a while. I mean, I'm a fan of RJ Barrett. I'm a Canadian. He's Canadian. Rowan Barrett is the head of Canada basketball. I'm
Mm-hmm.
a big supporter of Canada basketball, but it is truly it's almost a relief to see him turn it into this because when he plays for Team Canada, he's a great guy. He is usually the leader in points, I would say, except for when Shea's playing. But he's always top three, I would say. He looks really good in a Team Canada jersey, like pause. But it's yeah, I'm hoping he can keep it up. I mean, I'll be honest, when you're talking, I looked at his stats from the game today. He's only at 2 points a half, but I mean, play two halves for a reason, right?
It's the highlight from last week, not this week. Today's game counts as this coming week. But yeah,
Hopefully not
I
our
wanted
LVP
to.
next week.
Yeah, seriously. I wanted to get into him playing for Team Canada because you're right. Like when he plays for Team Canada, other than SGA, I feel like RJ usually is that go-to guy. Like if SGA is on the bench for a little break, they go to RJ, and I mean, I just love his ability to get downhill, especially on the left side. Like he's a lefty, but yeah, his ability to get downhill is really special, and
Mhm.
I that's why I also, when I pointed out his stats this past week, I wanted to talk about the 43% 3 point shooting because that's really good for a guy who, yeah, he can space the floor and shoot the ball. But I see him more as a downhill scorer, and so just the fact that he was able, I think he averaged 3 makes on 7 takes this past week. So the fact that he's taking that volume of 3 pointers and the fact that he's making 43% of them is just really good to see from RJ Barrett.
Yeah, and like especially when you're hitting threes, it opens up your ability to get downhill because they have to play up on you more. So as long as he's hitting threes, I think it'll be an easy path to success for him to continue this. Like he honestly, I think he plays a pretty satisfying game, like just like visually appeasing. I
Mm-hmm.
I don't see a lot of people say that though, so maybe I'm just a sicko. But I don't know, I enjoy watching him. I mean, I've said this before. I was a fan of him since he's been at Duke. When I found out there was a Canadian on that Duke team, I was fired up. But yeah, I mean, it's. I'm hoping he can continue this, and then because the Raptors' success comes along with it as well.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we can wrap it up there for this week. Thank you for watching and listening to Ball Don't Lie. We've got some new shows coming up on Horizon Media. New hockey show called In the Slot and a new football show called Film Grinders. Those will be coming out in the next few weeks here, so keep an eye out for those. And then also make sure to check out our baseball podcast, The Bench and the Bleachers, hosted by Keenan Tregaskis and Alex Tanaka. But that'll do it for today's episode. Thank you so much.